Hi, I've got your energy stories for the third week of December 2022. Well, last week, California regulators unanimously approved a proposal to reduce the compensation that owners of new rooftop solar installations receive in the service territories of San Diego Gas and Electric, Southern California Edison, and Pacific Gas and Electric. The biggest change is that the compensation for surplus solar energy exported back to the grid will be based on a payment structure that's focused on avoided cost rates, more closely resembling the time-differentiated hourly rates in wholesale power markets. Until now, solar owners have been paid retail rates as if the meter were rolling backwards for every kilowatt hour of surplus solar exported. This change will go into effect for most customer classes with new solar as early as April of next year. Existing solar arrays will not be affected. Not surprisingly, most environmentalists and solar companies were staunchly opposed and pointed out that in other states or areas where net metering has been eliminated or dramatically altered, solar installations have declined precipitously. The revised tariff approach is intended to promote increased deployment of energy storage that would help shift solar output to meet evening peaks and actually improve overall payback periods. But adding batteries increases investment significantly. About 15% of new California rooftop solar installations are paired with batteries today. So we'll see what happens on the ground next spring when Net Energy Metering 3.0 takes effect. Well, Bloomberg reported last week that a 13-day leak in a Pennsylvania gas storage facility operated by Equitrans from a 1 5/8-inch vent allowed over 1 billion cubic feet of methane to escape. The AP reported that the noise of the pressurized gas escaping was loud enough for residents living as far as 4 miles away to hear it. Methane is bad stuff from a climate perspective, with over 80 times the warming power of CO2 over its first 20 years. Bloomberg estimated that the global warming potential of the leak over 2 decades is equal to the annual carbon dioxide emissions from between 343 and 442,000 U.S. cars. Equitrans is the company seeking permitting approval for the $6.6 billion Mountain Valley Pipeline through West Virginia, championed by Senator Joe Manchin in his legislation on permitting reform to speed up the development of energy infrastructure. Energy company AES and industrial gas company Air Products announced a signed 30-year contract for a $4 billion green hydrogen facility in Texas, supplied by 1.4 gigawatts of new wind and solar projects, and tied to electrolyzers capable of yielding over 200 metric tons of green H2 per day. Air Products and AES will jointly own the renewable and electrolyzer assets on a 50-50 basis, while Air Products will be the exclusive off-taker and marketer for the green hydrogen. Commercial operation is slated for 2027. Automaker Stellantis is working with the MI Utility DTE Energy and its voluntary renewable energy program to add 400 megawatts of in-state solar. And this particular initiative will green up 100% of its electricity supply for 70 southeast Michigan sites by 2026, cutting North American emissions by 50%. And finally, the DOE announced last week that on December 5th, the team at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories National Ignition Facility conducted the first controlled fusion experiment in history that yielded more energy from the fusion process than the laser energy used to start it. LLNL's complex 192 laser array delivered 2.05 megajoules of energy to the hydrogen target and measured 3.15 megajoules of fusion energy output. The laser's energy heated the hydrogen pellet to 150 million degrees Celsius, 10 times the heat of the sun, with pressure over twice that at the sun's center. Last year, UK scientists generated a record amount of sustained energy, but only for 5 seconds with no net output. And the Chinese recently achieved heat equivalent to 5 suns earlier this year for 11 seconds, but also got no net energy out of their experiment. So scientifically, this is a pretty big deal. However, the Livermore facility is 3 times the size of a football stadium, so physical scale is one issue. Other technical issues remain as well, such as how to best increase the size of the reaction. This one was equal to about boiling 10 kettles full of water, as well as to create an effective containment vessel that can hold the reaction. So much work remains to be done. Well, that's all for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.